Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me with another episode of Chat with Kat. Today, I have the pleasure of having Tammy Fraley, the owner of Riverside Respite here in Peterborough, joining me today. And we're going to have a little chat today, see where these conversations go, and get to know Tammy a little bit better. So, Tammy, tell me a little bit about Riverside Respite.
So Riverside Respite is a space for individuals with developmental disabilities to come together for a day program, for overnight program, to help do life skills and learn things that, continuation from school. Because a lot of the kids, when they turn 21, they age out of school and then there's really nothing for them. And then they end up, just in certain day programs, and they don't, life skills are like things they need to know for the rest of their lives. They need to keep on doing them,
So,
right?
life skills would be things like learning how to do a budget or laundry potentially or cooking.
So we like anything, something as small as like loading and unloading a dishwasher with repetition can become something that they do daily at home. Doing laundry, how to sort your laundry, how to, what dials to put the washer on, those kinds of things. We do have washer and dryer here, so they do laundry, and how to fold laundry, how to put laundry away, all the steps, as much as everybody hates those steps.
I was like, oh, I think there's a few teenagers that need this too. But yes, I love that there are these programs that are out there to be able to help people and help families. I know I have a son who has some special needs, and he's very fairly sufficient in his life skills. And I also know that some really struggle with it. My daughter works out of town. She's in another city and works for a community living program. I'm really excited to hear that we have something like this in Peterborough that bridges that space where I'm not sure a
Yeah.
lot of people know that schools and skill sets end after a
Yeah.
period of time.
And I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and that's kind of, why I started this whole business. Her light, when she graduated out of school, I was like, what do I do now? Right? Because there was really nothing for her. So that's where we started doing this program, was because I had nowhere for her to go. Everything was fully booked. I was either going to have to quit my full-time job at the hospital and stay home with her, or just work part-time, and we just couldn't do that. So I was like, well, I guess if I'm in this position, I'm sure I'm not the only one. And as it turns out, I wasn't. So that's exactly why I started this business.
To connect to that community and care. And that must have been really tough to try to sit there and try to make those decisions on, do I,
Yeah.
what do we do, and how to navigate
Mhm.
that. And
Yeah. And there's very little support. Like, you have some support, like there's alternatives and there's community living. So you do have supports, but it's not like you have somebody saying to you, everything's going to be okay and this is how you're going to do it. You have to navigate that pretty much by yourself. And as the needs increase, because they've gone from this where they're at school every day to now being home, and she can't be home alone. We can't just let her to her own devices, because, we wouldn't have a home left. It would not be a good situation. So it was somewhere for her to come. So now she works with me here, and she has her jobs that she has to do as a part of her work. And she calls it going to work every day. And it gives her a sense of accomplishment, which I think is amazing for her.
here I'm talking with the mic, which I was saying I would probably do at some point.
Yeah.
A sense of purpose, right? A
Yeah,
little bit of that self-confidence and building those
absolutely.
pieces. That sounds incredible. So do you offer, is it a range? Is it specifically for young adults that in that period of time after high school, like after they're 21
I'll
or
put
what range?
anybody who really needs it, to be honest. My youngest client is 12, and that's usually about where we start, is around 12 years old. And then we go up to 99, like, or beyond if they want.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, so it's like for people with Down syndrome, autism, we have a lot of autism. People with, cerebral palsy, things like that. And we have a client that comes all the way from the Aurelia area, all the way down, and he comes almost every weekend for respite with us every weekend. So like I know there's the need is out there, and I know that there's a lot of people that are struggling to have that respite. Not only a break for themselves as the family members, but a break for the client as well. For that person, that individual who just wants to get out and do stuff and be with people, right? That is not always mom and dad, right? So we take them out on outings. We do like, we can go bowling sometimes. I mean, here in Peterborough, our bowling alley is not accessible, which is unfortunate, but you know, there's so many things like going to the Y, going to the wellness center, all these things, right? And even the new Miskin Law building here in Peterborough has a walking pad, just things like that, just things to get out and do and be a part of the community.
Yeah, start taking that activity and really kind of covering it. Sounds like it's a lot more than just life's what we
Yeah,
talk about skills. It's
yeah,
really about the whole person. It's a lot about self-care of mind, body, soul,
yeah,
activity, connection.
absolutely. 100%. Nailed it. Yes. It is the whole person, and it's not just self-care for the client or for the individual, it's self-care for the families as well. I care a lot about the individuals that we have here, but I also care so much about the families because I know the struggles that they have gone through. I know it firsthand, from all the time that they were young to now that she's 23. The struggles that we've gone through have been horrendous at certain times, and COVID was absolutely dreadful, not only because it was COVID, but it was because there was no social programming for her. She had no outside socialization. And for her, it made her digress back into things that behaviors that we thought she was out of like years ago. And it's been a struggle to get her back into where she's starting to thrive again.
Yeah, you highlight a really key important part here. That socialization is a big part about thriving,
Hmm.
connecting, being outside of our immediate nucleus of our family. We all know that we
Hmm.
loved and all of those pieces, but there's
Hmm.
something to be said about developing those friendships, those
Yeah,
connections, getting out and into the community that kind of helps heal us all around. And
absolutely.
I would imagine that there were lots of struggles over this time and that
Mhm.
you're learning tips and tricks and tools that you're sharing with other family members or support people for your clients. I would
Mhm.
love to hear a little bit about yourself and your growth because outside of
Oh,
those struggles,
yes,
um, there is that opportunity for growth that exists
absolutely.
out there. And I
There
would
is.
love to hear, if there's one thing you could share with someone that is, on the fence about deciding about respite or about their taking care of themselves, not only as an owner, but also as a mom that's been through
Yeah.
something similar. What would you say to yourself back then to now?
If I was to say to a new family member,
Yeah.
I would say that in myself, I have found that not having the respite piece, that break has really made me lose myself. So I became Jessica's mom and Jessica's caregiver and Jessica's this and Jessica's that. So when I didn't take that respite, I just became Jessica's mom. I feel like now that I have accepted more respite for her, I feel like I'm starting to become myself. I am growing. I'm more back into Tammy, right? Whereas now I am Tammy, but I'm still Jessica's mom, and I will always be Jessica's mom, but I'm not just that. And having the respite piece was the one thing that I feel was the big turnaround for me. And now that she has her own respite worker and she does things with them, it's amazing. And I adore her respite worker. And that's probably the one thing that I would say is you lose your sense of self if you don't have someone to take over that care. I totally understand that it's scary because you're not in control anymore when they're gone out and they're doing their thing, right? And I totally get that. But we are staffed with RPNs here. We have PSWs here, fully capable of taking on that extra, for people who have those extra medical needs as well. So we are fully staffed for that. So I feel like, if they know that, they will be a little more comfortable, I think.
Right. And I think we get that control piece that comes from that sense of safety. We want to make
Yeah,
sure our family members are safe. And we're doing that because we
absolutely.
love them. And so it's nice to hear that you have this dynamic team that really kind of understands those medical needs. It sounds like it's really holistic as an
Yeah,
approach.
absolutely. Yeah.
You mentioned too, you've got somebody coming in all the way from Aurelia. Do you do day programs overnight? How?
So we do a day program that runs all week, actually. On Saturdays and Sundays, we have our younger crowd come in for the weekend respite for the day program. But we also have an overnight program that runs Monday through Sunday as well. So most of my weekends are booked, but I am available. I have availability through the week. So if you wanted to say go to Cuba for the week, we would take on that individual and we would house them here like they were our own, and they would be just as happy and having as much fun as you. It's a great space. And, we usually like to have them come to day programs so they get used to us before they do overnights, because it's hard to just stick somebody who's been with mom and dad for, 20 years, 25 years, whatever, and say, oh, here, you're going to spend the night in this place with people you don't know. So it's hard.
I would anticipate, especially depending on the needs, if they need routine, right? And
Absolutely.
we're starting to shift those things. Do you do consult, like, how would somebody do that? So they're new into this, they catch this conversation that's out there. You mentioned coming to a day program. Is
Mhm.
there a way to connect, even to have a conversation?
Absolutely. So usually it starts, you call me or through my email, and we usually have a conversation on the phone. I learn a little more about them, and then we go from that to coming for a tour. So you'll come for a tour with me, and I'll show you everything. We'll see the facility, you'll meet the people that are here, and then I usually like for them to come to a day program, maybe once a week, and start at a couple of hours, maybe 2 to 4, and then go up to 8, and then maybe start spending the night from there. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds incredible. And
Mhm.
it sounds like it really does that gradual progression so that that comfort, not only for the client, but also for family members and caregivers to
Absolutely.
get that opportunity to get to know you and
Yeah.
the routine and the sense of humor. And
Yeah.
because I would anticipate you've got to have a pretty good, loving,
Oh, yeah.
caring heart.
Well, I think I do. The individuals that I have coming here are my friends. When I introduce them, I don't introduce them as clients. I introduce them as my friends because they are my friends. I love them like they're my own children. I have some that are profound autism and profound disabilities, and you end up loving them so much that it's hard for when they go, and it's like, I can't wait to see you again, and these kinds of things. And when they hug you, and when they make it so that, like, when somebody with autism comes up to you and puts their head like to you, and that's their way of hugging, like that, to me, I mean, it tears me up every time. Every time. Yeah.
You're lighting me up as you're talking about that. You can feel it, you can see it, that this
Yeah.
really does, this is your purpose in life.
Absolutely. And the funniest thing is, before I quit my job at the hospital, I worked full time at the hospital here in Peterborough for 24 years. I worked there. And I always struggled with, what is my purpose in life? What am I going to be when I grow up? Like, I don't know what I'm going to be. And I all of a sudden my brother and I actually were talking one night and came up with this idea of having a day program because we were trying to figure out what to do with Jessica. And this is how it all kind of panned out. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And it just felt so right. I jumped in with both feet, eyes closed, and had no idea what I was doing. But here I am. I'm a business owner.
Congratulations. And so how long have you been doing this? Like how long did you make this your full-time job?
Okay, so just since January of this year has been my full time, but I worked pretty much full time here and full time at the hospital. I did night shifts at the hospital and I'd come here and work for a couple of hours and then go to sleep and then get up and go back to work and those kinds of things. It was a rough, but I have been owning Riverside Respite for 3 years now.
Okay. And so how are you taking care of you throughout all of this incredible pouring your heart into the hospital, the job that you did, that you were doing basically, let's be honest, at least three full-time, because
At
there's
least three
there is
full-time jobs,
mom,
yeah.
there is hospital, and then there is this business owner piece. So how have you been managing, taking care of you? You mentioned having respite for your daughter, but
Yes.
any other things just
So,
for you?
well, you know how they say, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And I truly love what I do. So I do take a day off a week. One day, Tuesdays are my day off. And I just make it all about me, things like getting my nails done or getting my hair done or things that just feel right to me. And if I need a nap, I take a nap. It's just, there's no rhyme, no reason to my day. And it's just a me day,
Just a
honestly.
you day. No, and
Yeah.
I love hearing that. So then I was like, okay, so what are these me days? Where are you going for your nails? Where are you going for
Okay.
your
Yeah. So yes, like I always go to Spa Euphoria for my hair,
Okay.
always. And there's a little place that's in Couture hairstylist that's her name is Haley. She does nails, Hale's Nails. Absolutely love her. She is amazing for my nails. And sometimes it's just shopping at the mall or, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And sometimes it's just doing my laundry.
It can be that simple. I love hearing that. There is no, a lot of people talk about self care, and really, we were talking about it at the Wellness Summit, which we hosted in the summer. And it's defining it that way. When you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, doing laundry for me
Hmm.
sometimes is my self care. It's time for me to
Absolutely.
disconnect. It's time for me to be in this moment, or your
Yeah.
nails. And thank
Yeah.
you for sharing those places that you go locally to
Yeah.
get those things done too.
I love me a good spa day. It is the best thing that you can do for yourself.
When you go for spa days, are you going just for hair? Do you go for a
Yeah.
facial? Do you
Usually
mix
it's
it up depending on what you're feeling,
um
or
well, so I've decided now. I mean, normally it would be just my hair, but I've decided now that I'm going to start adding in a little more of like facials and things like that, just to make it a little more of a me day, so that I do have where I can say, yeah, I totally did it about me. And that seems to be what I need because I truly love coming to work every day. Like I can remember back in the day when I was working at the hospital and you would almost kind of start crying before you go to work because it's such a stressful place and you're doing things that sometimes people are not really thankful for, or it gets put onto you, right? All of their stress and they're ill and it's probably the worst time of their life, and you are the one that's there to take the brunt of that. And for a long time, I was in a very not so great place with myself. And when I started doing this, I realized very quickly that the individuals that I look after, and I'm looking out at them through the window here, they love unconditionally. And they have this trust about them that they know, and they can tell when somebody's not in it for them. They can tell. But the trust and the unconditional love that I receive from them every day that I come here is the number one self-care for me. Yeah. Like I can't even, like I have a client who loves to sit in my office with me, and I just, work away while she sits there and talks to me. And I love that. It's things like that. Yeah,
No, that's wonderful. And it is that appreciation, whether they're expressing it in their own way or not.
absolutely.
Recognize the hospital is full of a lot of things and it's a vocation, right? You are
Yeah,
there. And I love to see that you've kind of married these two purposes, that you've
yeah,
taken all of those skills of caring for people and that passion. I would imagine that that was the case, that
absolutely.
that's why you
Yeah,
got into nursing in the first place,
absolutely. Yeah.
and still being able to care for the community and finding a way that really resonates with you. Because the last number of years with COVID and all of the rest
Yeah,
of that, our population's getting sicker and funding cutting
yeah,
and all
yeah.
of those kinds of things, it
Mm.
takes its toll. Its
It sure
toll.
does. Yeah. I know that especially during COVID, the morale in the hospital went from mid-level to really low, and it was very hard to work during that period. Sometimes the only thing that brings you to work is the staff that you work with, because they are amazing people at the hospital. And sometimes it's as much as just, I know this person and this person are working today, so we've got this. But here it's like night and day. I can't even explain it.
I
Like
think
how
you get to,
much I enjoy this and how much I know this is my purpose, because I searched for it for so long and then all of a sudden it was right here. So,
that's
yeah.
so exciting to hear that. And it is, it's just a different side of that, the care that people need, and being able to have the capacity and the time and the
Hmm.
all of the things that sometimes aren't always in place in big hospitals, and
Yeah.
you actually get to have that. What I love hearing here is that you found your purpose, you gained all kinds of skills, and you contributed to that like you said,
Mhm.
24 years,
Yeah.
and now really sitting in your purpose that gets you to be like, I get to have the time to care for my clients, I get
Yeah.
to have these longer relationships and see that growth and that
Yeah.
development. Your face, your entire body lights up when
Yeah.
you're doing that, and so you're still gifting. To me, that's how I love seeing it, is you are
Mhm.
still gifting and contributing and making our community stronger by using all those talents and those skills, and now for an underserved population.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned it before, trying to find resources. And so
Mhm.
it sounds like you started to build these and make connections out there and find those
Yeah.
gaps and fill them for new parents that are out there. Or as you've
Yeah.
started to come into this space and those connections, in addition to respite, which is additional care. And I'm putting that into another frame in case somebody doesn't know what that means. What are other things or gaps that we as other community members you would like us to share to support? I know there are some
Mhm.
programs out there that help some get other jobs or other things and patients,
Mhm.
but what is something that we as a whole within Peterborough, but not even Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, in the globe for
Yeah.
this accessibility and other things?
I think a lot of it is recognizing disabilities as a whole, because a lot of people, they're just like, oh, they're disabled, right? And they really pass them off as disabled, and they're just differently abled. So it's not that it just takes them a different time to learn things. They can learn, they will learn, they can absolutely be a positive member in this society, in this community, in any community, and they will warm your soul like you have never had it warmed before. And you just see past that disability. And yes, there's a lack of funding in our community. Yes, there's a lack of knowledge in our community. There's a lack of pretty much everything in this community. But the one thing that I want everybody to know is to look past the disability and see the person inside, and you will legit fall in love.
And I
Yeah.
love hearing that. So I have a son who, as I mentioned, he has some needs. So he has social pragmatic communication disorder, which is very similar to autism,
Hmm.
navigating that here,
Yeah.
not a lot of resources or knowledge about it.
Hmm.
Being in that spot with a child with some different abilities, And that's really how we've tried to frame it too, is the kindness and not just looking, because it really does cover a span. People automatically see somebody and attach a label to that.
Yeah.
And so it's changing that label, whether you see it or you don't see it, that invisible is approaching the world with kindness and thinking the
Absolutely.
best of people and giving people an opportunity to show you their personalities, not just
Yeah.
behaviors or other things. As a mom, from my experiences, that in general, people kind of look and attach a label of some sort, whether
Absolutely.
it's a behavior,
100%.
whether it is people have a preconceived part of it. And then
Yep.
I know for myself, it's that continuing advocacy and finding other parents and having
That's right.
conversations. And I definitely find it's a spot within not only this community, but in other communities where it can be a challenge.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to share. I'm going to take us totally in a slightly different direction.
Okay.
That's what these are. So we recently traveled and my son really struggled with that. We had a couple of previous trips which were a bit of a challenge. And then we recently found the Sunflower Lanyard program the last time that
Okay.
we flew. It is for anybody with a disability or a different ability to go in and get, and I will tell you, it was night and day traveling with the way that the staff at the airport were with us and our son. A whole other ball game from passengers, which don't get it because they don't understand what the lanyard and programs are for, or
Right.
why you're being, pulled into a separate line that's more sensory friendly or
Right.
other things.
Right.
But I had mixed feelings because I'm like, this is really good for him. But I was also like, why does it have to take us a lanyard for
Yeah.
us to have
To be
this type
treated
to
appropriately.
be treated appropriately or
Yeah.
to be accommodated in a certain way that makes it equitable, not equal,
Yeah.
but equitable and meets somebody else's needs. So
Right. Exactly.
I don't know if you have that, but I know I was like, it's this mix because I'm like, it made the world so much easier for him,
Hmm?
most part.
Yeah.
And I would love for
Why?
us to move to a space in
Yeah.
society where
That's not a thing. I would love a world where we could see the eyes through somebody with Down syndrome or autism, something like that, and have that unconditional love for people. The wars would stop, the countries would all be friends, and it would just be an amazing place to be. Unfortunately, our world is not like that. And I think, like I said before, if you just see past the disabilities and look at the person, everybody should be treated appropriately. It should not be, oh, you have a lanyard on, so now I'm going to treat you a little bit differently. Because I feel like that's almost like, I don't know, segregation in a way, right? Where I thought we were past that in the 60s of segregating people. It does make me sad that we do have to have these special classrooms and special lanyards and special programs. But then, on the other hand, for that person that's going through it, that does not like to travel, that lanyard means everything, right? It means that they can go and enjoy the trip with their family and not have to be amongst all these people who are maybe chattering and sensory overload with all the talking and all this stuff. Um, and, so if it takes that, I mean, I'm going to take it, right? I mean, if it's a lanyard that's going to make my life and their life easier, I'm all for it then. But I just wish it didn't come to that.
yeah, I hear you. I do. And when you said, like, I really wish the world could get to a spot where we are looking at the best in people. Because I think that is one of the biggest takeaways is that they just come in it with this different perspective, right? That the
Mhm.
world is full of, even though there's hardships and other things, I genuinely believe the best in people. And they come at it from a totally different lens and
Yeah,
experience is its own blessing and lessons that I
absolutely.
think I would love for more people to do.
Yeah, me too. It would be amazing if we could have our world leaders look at life through a different lens and see that not everybody is, not everybody is the same type of person, I guess. You can be unconditionally loved, and it's an actual thing, and it's amazing.
That is a big part for me, is that the world, there's so many people who haven't had that opportunity to experience what
Mhm.
unconditional love really means. And I can
Yeah.
see it that you not only in a career that
Hmm.
receives that, you are in a career where you can fully embody that and give that to others.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it fills my heart that there are spots and there
Mhm.
are individuals out there that
Yeah.
are really able to see past what society has put there and
Yeah.
create spaces of care and love, not
Mhm.
only for an individual, but for an entire family and support
Yeah.
system for people.
Yeah.
So thank you. I have
Oh,
so much
thank you.
gratitude in my heart that there
Uh,
are individuals like you out there that are
mhm.
really making the world a better place for what I would say is our innocence, our individuals who are just in that space of absolute
Yeah.
love and need of care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I feel like, and we also want to add in there just protecting them, because not everybody in this world is a good person. So, we try to teach them protection too, like so they don't get taken advantage of and things like that. So, yeah, I love what I do. It makes my day every day. So, yeah.
Yay. I love it. And it gives me so much joy and seeing. So I mentioned my daughter works for some similar, and when she calls me and she's like, we taught so and so how to walk to the grocery store from their apartment and they can do it themselves. The joy and the things that light up that you, so it really does fill my heart to see that the
Yeah.
caring still happens, that the taking care of themselves so that they can take care of
Hmm.
others is really
Absolutely.
something that we have within our own community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. Like they say, I always say to my families, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you need to fill your cup so that you can give to, your son, daughter, whatever, the love that they need and the care that they need and the care that you need to give them. So, like I say all the time, you got to fill your cup. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Tammy.
No
So,
problem.
again, this is Tammy Fraley, the incredible owner and compassionate, unconditionally loving individual who started Riverside Respite. I will put the web address in the comment section. And Tammy, are you still at 192 Hunter Street?
100th Street West.
Hunter Street West, 192 Hunter Street West for my friends that are on here.
Yeah.
And their phone number is 705 874 5342. If you are
Yeah.
thinking of, or if you're in a situation where you want to just connect with Tammy to find out a little bit more of how you can support her and this incredible mission of unconditional love for those with different abilities out there. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. If you're a family that needs and has been looking for somebody that is going to love your family member and take care of them in the same way as you would, I can definitely say after today and this, our very first conversation, know in a
Hmm.
heartbeat that Tammy is someone that I would be talking to if my situation was to ever change. So,
Yeah.
Tammy, thank you so, so
Oh,
much
thank you.
for your time today.
No
And
problem.
I look forward to us connecting here in the
Yeah.
future and continuing to build these connections here.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.